So that free practice session then determining the grid for the sprint race, and seeing the Netherlands to be starting from pole position and Mexico starting in second position. And Mexico, of course, coming into this meeting sitting just 1 point behind Germany, so Mexico in very good shape going into the sprint.
Yes, really well placed for the sprint race, and of course everybody being totally caught unawares, because what was a practice session on Saturday was then deemed to be the qualifying for the sprint race. And I mean, benefits going to Netherlands, smart on them to get a new set of tyres onto Jeroen Bleekemolen, but also to Mexico to get Salvador Duran up alongside in the front row of the grid.
Other people who were well up on the grid, Team Italy, third place, Canada also going well, and of course they'd been race leader in Brno in the Czech Republic last time out. So the scene was pretty much set for what was due to be a 20-lap sprint race here in Beijing. So we're building up now the first ever international motor race in China's capital. We're in the Yizhang area of Beijing, the city's economic and technical development zone. We're about 20 minutes from this city centre, this huge city of Beijing, and A1GP cars are about to be set loose once the race director Pierre Delettre is happy that they are all bunched up, but we'll wait to see. It may well be the safety car stays out for another lap.
Yes, it just got to get everybody safely around this happen. It is very, very tight. You see a waved yellow flag, that's just to indicate the race is, although it is underway technically, it is still under the safety car.
But the safety car's in, and Bleekemolen immediately gets on the throttle and makes the most of his pole advantage. He's desperate to get away. Look at the advantage he's got, and Salvador Duran a bit sleepy there in second place under pressure from Team Italy. Then it's Canada and Germany all the way, of course, in formation as they set their times in free practice yesterday. And remember, all of these drivers have done very limited running around this track. No one has yet hit the wall. I wonder how long it'll be before somebody does.
Well, Jeroen Bleekemolen clearly had a massive advantage. He knew when the safety car was pulling in, because he was the car directly behind it, and once he saw it in, he could then just get on the throttle and drive as hard as it was possible, and everybody behind was having to react, but they have reacted, and the top six are now bunching up, trying to run down Bleekemolen, who's got that advantage.
Now there'll be a yellow flag at the hairpin on this first lap. I think you'll see the yellow flag down here. Green flag's actually being waved there at the moment, but they were told there'd be a yellow on the first lap down here, and then after that they'd be able to overtake. Czech Republic having a little look at Great Britain. No move made by Thomas Enger following Ollie Jarvis. Jarvis making his race debut, of course, for Team Great Britain in an A1GP car. And so far it looks like everybody's pretty much in grid order. The Netherlands ahead of Mexico, Italy, Canada, then Germany, Brazil, South Africa and Great Britain.
But it is Italy who are right behind Mexico in third place. They're the one team that are looking to put pressure to try and make that opportunity to get past out of turn 2 into turn 3. It's not possible, but it might well be so out of turn 3, but I don't think he's close enough to the tail of Mexico. He's pulled out along, trying to get alongside, but hasn't got the grip.
Power boost will be a factor, of course. We'll see whether people are using their extra horsepower on some of these shortish straights. Italy, as you say, looking pretty racy at the moment behind Team Mexico. Salvador Duran clatters over the curbs. They're allowed to use a bit of curb, and we're now riding on board with second place.
And Italy is using its power boost to try and find a way past Mexico as they run down into the hairpin bend. But this is all about acceleration. You're not getting a terminal speed here, but it gets very close. Salvador Duran ran wide in the exit of 8, and a much tighter exit from Italy, who are putting again pressure in turn 9.
Very tight, that hairpin. Now they're through turn 11. You can see the back wheels coming off the ground on the bumps through turn 11. Watch them now, and they're braking into turn 1. The right-hander, it's very, very bumpy there, and everybody just trying to hang on really to the steering wheel and keep the car tracking in a straight line. Oh, we've got an incident. It's Ireland and South Africa tangled together, and this is at the last corner. This is up at turn 10.
Well, Ireland, and somehow or other they got them together, and that is pretty much it all over for these two nations in this 20-minute sprint race. So they're sitting there, damaged front wings. I don't know whether Ireland's got a damaged front wing or not, but certainly South Africa has. And for Adrian Zaug, that is a huge disappointment. He had been running inside the top 10. Ireland were just outside the top 10 at the start of this.
Yeah, they started in a quite different place.
Well, no, it's actually, in fairness, it was all about Adrian Zaug. He spun the car, and Ireland comes around, and it's bump.
Oh dear, what a shame. Yes, but I was wondering that because South Africa started 7th, Ireland started 11th, but they got caught out. Alan van der Merwe on the left there, likely to drive for Team South Africa in some of the upcoming races, but poor old Adrian Zaug looks as though his race is very much over, and have got our first safety car within the race now. The safety car out on circuit. Well, they'll try and clear that car away.
Yes, all the cars will be in control from the safety car, and once that has been Placed, then there is the safety car, so they can start to get Team South Africa's entry back. The problem being, of course, on street tracks is access to get that car away to safety, as we see Ireland dragging part of that South Africa car. Michael Devaney came round the corner, was unsighted, didn't see the car there and bumped into it.
So they will pick up the leader, and he will be next one round. Just wanted to have a quick look down the order. Team France have gained a few places, partly as the result of incident there for Ireland and South Africa, but France up to 18th position now. Remember, they started right at the back. They only had one car behind them, that was Pakistan. They've now got Lebanon behind them as well, and of course they're ahead of both Ireland and South Africa. So they haven't really been able to overtake many cars, but if they can keep picking off places through other people's misfortune, then I'm sure they'll take advantage of it. It's a good start from Jeroen Bleekemolen, though, initially there. He's now had that advantage wiped out by the safety car, and we're still waiting for that car to be moved.
Well, we watched South Africa motionless, waiting to be pulled to safety. It was the blue car, Team Italy, and they have got a much more experienced Toccacello driving that car. And what I find interesting was that Toccacello's experience was paying dividends, because from this part of the track, this is turn 9 going into 10, he was taking a different line. The traditional line is go out, cut across and make a racing line. He was staying much more to the left-hand side of the racetrack. That part of the racetrack has got less bumps. It potentially will have more grip as well. And that's the difference between, if you like, youth and speed and maturity and speed.
So the current standings, the Netherlands ahead of Team Italy, Mexico, Team Italy, then Canada, and then behind them we've got Germany, Brazil, Great Britain, Czech Republic, Switzerland and the Netherlands. This is the view back from the safety car, so you're looking directly at the race leader there, Jeroen Bleekemolen. Intelligent young man, the way he dealt with that original start, and just the way he conducts himself around the A1GP paddock. Quite impressed with Jeroen Bleekemolen. Of course, he's raced in the DTM series for a couple of years. He's got that useful experience.
Well, if you're street smart, it's going to pay dividends here on a street track.
Definitely, and he's got that sort of wisdom, he's got that sort of nous to him, and we could see that on the original start. Salvador Duran for Team Mexico, though, what he's most concerned about is just scoring points here today, maybe moving ahead of Germany. Meanwhile, Team Ireland in, John.
Yes, they can do a pit stop to change a nose. They reckon about 28 seconds is the average time. They might maybe be a little bit longer here. There may be damage that is causing the nose to be more difficult to remove, but when they do swaps, they practice this all the time, nose to nose, without any damage. They can do it in about 28 seconds. But there you see from the locations, the bolts that hold the nose in place, they clearly have been damaged. They're having difficulty getting that damaged nose off. Now the new one will go back on again. And of course, every second you're sitting here with the engine running, the temperatures are beginning to rise, and there's going to be, well, another couple of laps or so, because that flatbed truck is now moving into position.
Ooh,
but in the process, it is causing the entire field to come to a standstill. So while the truck is, somebody tell that truck driver to, you know what, with his truck.
He's finally moving around the back of the South African car. This is not going to do all the other cars much good. They're sitting there. The clutches are fairly nominal anyway on the A1 cars. They do their job for what they require, but they're not expected to sit there for hours with a foot on the clutch. So look at them all queuing up.
Indeed, and of course the truck driver is a local truck driver, so he doesn't understand expletives in motor racing language.
Well, they've finally got it out of the way, and everyone else can now make their way past the stricken car of Team South Africa. Looking at Team Ireland now, they of course have managed to stay on that lap because thanks to the traffic jam, I don't think they've lost the lap. I think they've managed to stay on the lead lap.
Now, they did a good job to get the nose replaced. Michael Devaney, who was an innocent victim of that situation, and clipped the back, or the side in fact, of Team South Africa's car, which was 90 degrees across the racetrack as Adrian Zoud runs back to the pits, and that just looked like a simple error on the part of Adrian. The back end just swapped around, and well, it's sort of, after such a stunning debut for a young man who's got a prodigious talent and a great future in my view, to get caught, as happens in experience on street tracks. But with this race running under the safety car, the advantage I think that the Netherlands had may well have been lost, because I don't think Salvador Duran for Mexico is going to get caught out as he did at the start of the race when the safety car went off track. No, that's right, but it's going to take a moment or two before we see the safety car in again. Still 14 laps to go in this sprint race, originally a 20-lap race, but it's also 20 minutes, so we, of course, got to keep an eye on the clock ticking down, because whichever comes first, and it may well be the 20-minute mark that comes up before the 20-lap mark does. Well, we've got just over 10 minutes of this race remaining. It's 10 minutes and 15 seconds of this race remaining, and to get 14 laps into that ain't going to work, because my maths, as rudimentary as they are, don't make it work. So it will maybe Well, maybe 19, possibly more likely 18 laps altogether of racing.
That's right. It's taking them around a minute, so it's fairly easy to work out. It's a minute lap here, basically. So there's no way they're going to get the full 20-lap distance in here in the allocated time. Team Italy followed by Canada there, then Team Germany, who's got to stay out of trouble. There is the rookie driver for Team Netherlands, who actually managed to get a couple of extra laps in on the Friday when they were still trying to finalise the track layout. Renger van der Zande. He managed to do. They asked him actually to go and do a couple of extra laps just to check a couple of things out on circuit. Don't know whether that helped or not, but the Netherlands have certainly been on the pace all weekend.
Yeah, so Renger van der Zande looked very impressive again in that Dutch car. And at one point I thought he was braver than Dick Tracy, the way he was attacking the circuit, particularly as they come through this stadium, this amphitheatre that is the start-finish line. It is actually a considerable curve. And if you let the car run out too wide, there are bumps to catch the unwary, but Renger van der Zande kept his foot buried in it, and I think the few hearts went into mouths at one point as they thought he was sort of spearing off towards the pit lane exit barrier, but he gathered it all up and brought it back safely. Yeah,
he's another confident-looking young man, another one of these young, talented drivers who seem to be making a name for themselves in the second season of A1GP. Just saw USA and Australia together there. Phil Keebler driving for the USA once again. Ryan Hunter-Reay, a new rookie driver for Team USA here this weekend, but like most of the other rookies, unfortunately didn't get to do much running on the Friday. So driving duties back with Phil Keebler this weekend, who was one of the stars, of course, of the opening meeting at Zandvoort. And for Chinese team, of course, they're watching their man. He's currently 13th, is Frankie Cheng. There he is. He's made the 2 places gained by the mishaps for South Africa and Team Ireland, but it keeps him down in 13th place. And remember, just the top 6 will score points in this shorter sprint race.
So we continue under the safety car situation. They waved yellow flags all around. There you see the change of surface, and that is a very, very significant bump there. The cars, of course, still, even on a street track, stiffly sprung. And we did see yesterday in the running the number of cars hitting that, because they're just about getting on the brakes, and the back end of the cars were being kicked literally clear of the racetrack by as much as about 9 inches.
So they've all come past the start line, and just to confirm that Ireland have maintained their position on the lead lap. So they're running 21st and last, but they are still on the lead lap. The South African car is up on the flatbed, and now it's just a question of where they can find a gap in the barriers to take that car out of the way.
Just hope that that car is secure on the back of that flatbed. Interestingly, in the round in Holland at Zandvoort, when cars were being taken off track, the flatbed trucks that they had there had used tyres on that flatbed, so as the car, when it was then lowered onto it, was absolutely secure, and if it did move at all, the tyres were going to make sure that it didn't move too far.
I can see that truck coming around from our vantage point in the exhibition centre here, and it looks as though he's going to have to come around. Actually, the medical car's just stopped to try and open up the barriers, I think, in the pit lane. So it's definitely not going to be seeing the safety car in this lap. It's going to take another lap at least, I would think, before we're ready to get this race restarted. Riding on board with Frankie Cheng on board the Team China car.
But we have under 7 minutes of this race left. So if it takes another lap, that's going to bring us down to the best part of just over 5 minutes racing left. And you're looking at probably maybe 4 laps of racing. And there we see the safety car. Oh, that is yes, it is, in fact, just and waiting for that truck to be. I'm not quite sure whether they're going to try and get it, but they may have to make a bit of a swing out to get it, cut back into the pit lane. So these are the problems that you face on street tracks, and so far everything has run pretty much trouble-free in terms of action on track. This is the first situation that we've seen really over the 3 days that we've been here where with a car stopped on the circuit, it does take some time to get it removed to safety, and of course that is the key priority.
Absolutely right, and their safety car getting a fairly busy time at the moment. Scott Stringfellow driving it round. He was expecting to do quite a few laps this weekend, and I think that's going to be confirmed.
I just hope Scott has got a full tank of fuel in that Audi A8, because it is a fuel-thirsty V10 engine in that Audi, and you know, Scott, I hope you got it filled up.
Former British F3 racer, of course, Scott Stringfellow, getting his opportunity to do some extra laps this weekend. But I'm just watching that flatbed. It is moving off again now, so they're hopefully going to get that car out of the way. But again, we're not seeing the lights going out on the safety car. So at least one more lap, if not 2, as they come down towards the hairpin, and those yellow flags still being waved at every point around the circuit. Just lost the 1 car then from this race. Despite that incident, Ireland are still back in it. They're on the back of the queue, but we have lost South Africa.
And just to remind everybody that your finishing position in this 20-minute or 20-lap sprint race, and it's going to be a 20-minute race, will determine your start position for the feature race, We've reverted back to the format that was used in the original series of A1GP, away from that modified system, which it was controversial, it was interesting, and it was creative. But the judgment by people overall was that let's go back to something that we know works. People understand, that's the key. Viewers in particular, and also spectators at a racetrack, they just want something that they can understand. They see the result of one race, they know that is the grid for the feature race.
Now, keep an eye on the lights on the safety car. They will turn them off at the chicane if they're going to bring it in this lap, and if not, it'll have to stay out for one more. 4.5 minutes remain. You can see the clock ticking away in the top left-hand corner of your screen. That's the 20-minute mark being counted away, and that indicates how long we've got left. The lights are still on the safety car.
You've had 6 laps now behind the safety car. Again, the issue about tyres and tyre temperatures. These tyre temperatures will have dropped off to little more than the temperature of the surface of the racetrack. The drivers have not been. Look now, where are the rest of the drivers? What is Italy doing? Toccacella, now maybe he wanted to drop back and get a big sprint up, try to put temperature into those rear tyres, temperature into his brakes, but you know, if the safety car lights are going to go out at this part of the racetrack, they are out, so this race will start at the end of this lap.
So lights out, safety car in this lap, and they will all have to bunch up, and it's going to be once again Jeroen Bleekemolen who is going to take it away. Again, he gives it a little spurt before the hairpin, pops it over the curb and gets on with it, and Mexico again is left behind with Italy following.
You know, the teams in the pit lane should be watching the TV screen and advising their drivers of what's going on. Again, Holland, the Netherlands have got the advantage. Look at that bump in the middle of turn 11.
Maybe they just feel it's not worth racing with the Netherlands. Let them get on with it and concentrate on points for Team Mexico. This will put them ahead in the points, remember, if Team Mexico stays where they are right now. But Italy still looking very close behind. The rest of them following through in order. Right at the back, I can just see that Ireland trying to get past Pakistan. I think they've made it into through turn 11 and down into turn 1, so Ireland has regained one place.
But if keep an eye, look at Mexico now putting across to just tear Enrico Toccacella for Team Italy. He is the driver, I think, with all his background of experience, street racing anywhere in the world. He's the one that has shown at least some indication as to wanting to make an improvement in overall position.
So we've only got under 3 minutes of this race to go. The Netherlands leads from Team Mexico, Italy, then Canada, Germany, followed by Brazil, and then Great Britain is in that queue. So is the Czech Republic and Switzerland. Everybody trying to sneak around that very tight first gear hairpin there, down to about 25 miles an hour through there.
Now watch the difference in lines. They will literally stay out a little bit wider this time coming through the corner. Again, the bump and the exit as you come under brakes. Very, very unsettling for the car, but physically very difficult for a driver. Yeah,
and that feature race length of some 68 laps is going to be a real pounding for the drivers. It's a bit easier this time, 2 minutes and a little bit to go, and so the physical side of this sprint race isn't really going to be an issue as Team Italy keeps the pressure on Mexico for second place, but the Netherlands are looking very good to take their second ever win in A1GP and their first win, of course, for Jeroen Bleekemolen. They're not. Oh, Mexico was a bit slidey there, wasn't he? Not really tight to the curb.
Through turn 4, the back end started to drift outwards. The exit of turn 4 is a much more open exit, so you can get away with it, but nevertheless you've got concrete on the outside of every corner here, and any contact with that concrete usually means immediate retirement. Again, Toccacella, watch the line he takes in the hairpin bend, trying to gain some advantage, but he will try to get as close as possible to Mexico coming through turn 9. It's not possible, in my view, for competitive cars running at this speed to do anything through this section of circuit into turn 1. Best chance is going to be maybe into turn 4, but keep in contact and catch the unwary.
France gained one position on that last lap. They're up to 17th. They managed to nip past India. That was the only other change apart from Ireland getting past Pakistan. Meanwhile, up front here, we've still got a pretty much status quo with Canada getting a little closer to the back of Team Italy there. James Hinchcliffe also looking fairly racy. He's got Brazil behind him, Germany behind him, then Brazil, and then Great Britain, Czech Republic and Switzerland. Germany closer. The Dutch car sliding as well through turn 4. They're all beginning to push that bit harder as they get more familiar with the track.
And it's James Hinchcliffe in Team Canada running behind Italy, and he's now looking to find a way to put pressure. Italy looking forward, forgetting about what's going on behind, but I tell you what, Toccacella and Italy could be caught out if they're not aware, with Canada directly behind.
Just 40 seconds of the race. They won't get the checkered flag this time around, but they will next time around, and it's going to be Jeroen Bleekemolen. He's driven very, very smoothly from the lead position. He's been clever on the starts, and over the bumps he goes. See how much his head moves as he goes over those bumps under braking into turn 1, but he's got a very useful advantage, 1.8 seconds over second place car for Team Mexico, and then Italy in third. Right behind him is Canada and Germany, but can anybody risk a manoeuvre after all, you've got to keep the car in one piece for the feature race later today, and if you go for that risky manoeuvre on this last lap, well, you could end up with a very bent motor car.
I think you're right. Nobody's going to take that chance. There's never been a clear opportunity. We've not seen a mistake from anybody in the top 6 to enable anybody following to take up the opportunity and slot up alongside. Once you get alongside on a street track, then you've got control of the corner.
And the Netherlands heading down towards the hairpin for the last time here. Just got to keep it neat and tidy. He's got a very comfortable advantage over Team Mexico. Look in the background, just see whether anybody's going to make what would be a virtually suicidal move up the inside into the hairpin, because then you'd get stuck, I think, but no one's going for it. Here we go, checkered flag awaits, and Team Netherlands takes their first win of the second season of A1GP, their second win in total, and Jeroen Bleekemolen adds his name to the roster of race winners. Team Mexico takes second place, Italy finishes in third, Canada fourth, fifth for Germany, and the final point in the sprint race, remember only the top 6 scoring, that goes to Brazil, but it also means that Team Mexico is the new leader of the A1GP World Cup of Motorsport Series. They have taken the advantage from Team Germany.
Somebody has clipped the wall or has been hit from behind going through turn 2. That would have occurred on that last racing lap. We don't know whose wing and whose car that was. We didn't see that incident, so we were focusing on Jeroen Bleekemolen, and it just goes to prove how important it is in any session, because this was the first official practice session on Saturday that determined the grid positions. No one knew this was going to be the outcome, but you've just always got to be ready and prepared to give your best at any time on track.
Absolutely right. Here we are at the Jinkai Convention and Exhibition Centre, and the result of the sprint race sees the Netherlands taking victory. The first win for Jeroen Bleekemolen, the second for the team, and of course it was on the street track last time that they won. Mexico taking second ahead of Italy, Canada, Germany and Brazil. Great Britain finished in 7th, just 1 out of the points. Czech Republic 8th, then Switzerland 9th, and New Zealand finished in 10th place courtesy of Matt Halliday. 11th was United States ahead of Australia, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, who lost the wing but finished 16th, ahead of France, who started right at the back, India, Lebanon, Ireland and Pakistan, and then the one non-finisher was Adrian Zaug. The fastest lap going on that very final lap, in fact, to the second place finishing team, Team Mexico.
Jeroen Bleekemolen absolutely delighted, takes maximum points for the Netherlands, and there Joy of Jan Lammers, Dave Stubbs, other members of the Netherlands team. Yeah,
great stuff, Jeroen Bleekemolen, the man who got that late call and was such a star at Zandvoort. He led 10 laps at Zandvoort, and Salvador Duran's pretty happy. He's done everything the team asked him to. They said keep out of trouble, finish the race. He's kept his position. He's taken 5 points. He is now taken Team Mexico into the lead of the point standings.
Yes, and third place to Team Italy, Enrico Toccacella. The experience that this man has really lifting Italy. The first 2 rounds, of course, they're running novice drivers that really hadn't got the pace, the experience that we know the Jochen Muller. Well, there you see Bleekemolen, I beg your pardon, for the Netherlands, and well, he will be delighted stepping in at the last moment after an issue between the team and Jos Verstappen, who really is all about Netherlands motor racing. Well, he may have been, but today it is Jeroen Bleekemolen who has won a race in his 3rd outing in an A1GP car, and Salvador Duran, well, he got caught out. Very nice, Salvador, thanks a bunch, but next time keep an eye where possible on that safety car, because the lights will be going out before the hairpin bend. And I mean, I think that teams, certainly the Mexico team, should be able to contact the driver and make them aware of what's going to make the driver aware of what is actually taking place.
Here comes Jeroen Bleekemolen to take the plaudits for his victory here in China. Salvador Duran, though, he's got a big smile on his face too on the left-hand side of the picture. The young Mexican driver, race winner in the first season of A1GP. 3rd place there for the 28-year-old Italian Enrico Toccacella. Team Netherlands gaining well here. They'll now move up to 15, and that will put them ahead of Canada, the Czech Republic and Great Britain.
Jeroen, congratulations, your first victory in A1GP. A bit of a strange race, but every driver wants to win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, starting from pole is a big advantage, of course, but first you have to do it in the end to win the race. So I think we, all the time after the start and after the safety car, the second time we could pull a small gap and then control it a little bit. So yeah, it was going really well.
And in terms of the weekend, the limited running that you've had, the car has always been consistently quick.
Yeah, like this morning we were running with the complete full fuel tank and we were still pretty quick. So I'm really confident as well for the next race, and I think we can do a good job.
Jeroen, congratulations. Let's move on to second place, Salvador Duran, Team Mexico. Salvador, you've just put Team Mexico at the top of the championship standings.
Yeah, I mean that's the main goal, to be always on top. It's a very difficult series. The cars are the same. It's always difficult to be in the front. But my team has done an awesome job. I have to thank all to them. I mean, they give me the car to be there. I just had to drive it, and I mean every single guy in the pit lane did his job, and I did mine. And at the end, it's a second place, where in this kind of track, it's the best you can do after qualifying like that. So hopefully for the main event, we will push harder. I think we have a good car, and I mean the main thing is to stay in the top of the leaderboard, and we need to continue putting some points for the team. And I'm very happy with this, and concentrate for the next race now.
Salvador, thank you very much. And in third place, it was Enrico Toccocello for Team Italy. Congratulations, you were pushing hard. You looked as if you were trying to get past Salvador, but it's just so tight out there.
Yeah. In the beginning, I was faster than Salvador, but in this circuit, it's really impossible to overtake. There is no room, so I just followed them, and then I finished there. So it's my first race of the year. So I think we had a good start.
She's been speaking to some of the drivers after that race. She joins us now with this report.
Thanks very much. Hello and welcome to Beijing. This is by far the coldest race that we have had, with temperatures hovering just above zero. But believe me, that is the least of our worries. It has been no easy task arranging a Beijing street race. Hopefully the problems we have experienced have now been put to rest, and maybe the racing can continue. One guy who's been caught up in all this chaos is Team GBR driver Ollie Jarvis. Ollie, it's been a bit of a testing weekend for everybody involved.
Yeah, especially for myself. First weekend here, and in at the deep end as such. But it looks like we've solved many of the problems, and the races will go ahead.
I suppose the shock for not just Team GBR but a lot of the teams was that the practice session did actually turn into the qualifying session.
Yeah, there's many of us guys out there that went out, and myself, I bedded in pads and discs. We had a heavy fuel load, and we were just sort of biding our time to the end of the session. We didn't bother putting any competitive lap times in, and we ended up 8th, and that's where we're going to start for the race.
Now the problems have been resolved. Is this a good circuit? Do you enjoy driving it?
I'm enjoying the circuit. It's a good street track, but it probably needs to be a little wider in places just to allow for overtaking, which makes the qualifying session even more frustrating, because at the end of the day, it's looking like that may be where you finish the race.
Just finally, Ollie, we did say the last time we spoke to you that you were the rookie. You had two established drivers, and Darren and Robbie ahead of you, and here you are now driving in the race. What, the next round?
Well, yeah, I've got the seat, which is always nice, but they're probably sat at home laughing and a bit glad that I'm doing this one. But hopefully I can keep the seat, maybe do another couple of races in the year, but we'll have to see how things go.
Best of luck for this afternoon. Thanks very much. We can expect plenty of action this afternoon. There's no doubt about that. Half the battle is keeping out the way of traffic. That's half the battle anywhere in Beijing. It's home to over 15 million people. We're in for a thriller. Hopefully it's going to warm up. Back to you in your cosy studio.
Last time out in Brno we had a perfect weekend, and next time we're going to go to your home circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Brno was fantastic for us, and I'm looking forward to Sepang, in 2 weeks' time. And hopefully with some good local support, we should be able to win and repeat the performance again.
Now, last year we visited the circuit. We had a pretty good crowd. Then I expect those wins will have put a few more on the gate.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think the race is going to be exciting as well. Beijing's been very hard to overtake, but Sepang, it's long straights, wide open. It's going to be good racing.
Have you driven at the circuit since the last A1 race?
No, actually, maybe not. No, I think I might have taken a Lotus Elise around. That's about it, really.
Get nice and sideways?
Nice and sideways.
Have a good race.
Cheers, thanks.
Hello again, welcome back to the Chinese capital of Beijing for A1GP's third race day of the season. The sprint race really has promised an awful lot. With me here in the studio, Robbie Kerr, Team GBR driver. Robbie, what are you expecting from this race, and how do you think Ollie Jarvis is going to go?
No, I think Ollie will do a good job. He's going to just keep his head, and it's all going to be down to team strategy from now on. And it'd be interesting to see how people play the pit stop and when they're going to do them. It's
going to be a very difficult, demanding race for these drivers because, as we know, opportunities to overtake are almost nil, and it's going to be strategy and just the way guys stay cool.
It is. It's going to be getting a clear lap in, and before your pit stop, and obviously when you come out, you want as much clear track as possible to get the opportunity to overtake in the pit stop.
And that's Ollie there, just relaxing just before these key moments before the race itself starts. So let's settle back now, shall we, and look forward to some terrific action, we hope, And we're going to cross now for the main race of the day, the feature race, taking you through the live, uninterrupted race action. Pit lane reporters Simon Hill and Lee McKenzie. First of all, John Watson and Ben Edwards.
Race 6 of the season, the A1GP Beijing event on the streets around the Xinkai Convention and Exhibition Centre in the southeastern corner of the capital city of China. And we've seen the Netherlands take victory in the sprint race. It therefore means that they will start from pole position. But remember, they will be starting behind the safety car. They will be a rolling start, but they have to start single file. They'll not be allowed to start side by side as we would normally see on a rolling start with A1GP. They will be in single file, and that's purely for safety going into the first lap of the feature race. Well, now let's take a more detailed look at how they do line up for this feature race then. The Netherlands, it's their first ever feature race pole because, of course, they've never won a sprint race in the past. Their only other previous win was in a feature race. That was in Durban in South Africa, also on a street track, courtesy of Jos Verstappen last year. This time it's Jeroen Bleekemolen. He's got Mexico alongside. Then Italy and Canada on the second row of the grid. And former leaders, Germany, now on the third row with Team Brazil alongside. Great Britain is next up with the Czech Republic 8th on the grid. Switzerland and New Zealand are together on the 5th row. And on row 6, it's the United States versus Australia. Home nation China back in 13th place, Malaysia alongside, then Indonesia just behind them, and Singapore in 16th position. France starting from 17th, Lapierre with plenty to do. He's got India alongside, behind him Lebanon, Ireland, who were caught out in that sprint race in the incident that involved South Africa. Pakistan is on that back row as well, and Adrian Zaug is also a man with plenty to do as he starts from 22nd position. The winner from Zandvoort will find it tough from there. So all set then for that feature race to get underway in just a few moments' time. Our vantage point actually through one of those windows looking out of the exhibition centre. It's still pretty chilly here though, John, so getting that tyre temperature in the opening laps is going to be crucial.
Yes, it'll be fine for those cars near the front of the grid. They'll be able to run at a pace which they are in control of, but those in the middle or the back of the field will be determined by a car ahead of them. And in particular for France, I mean, think back to the first years of A1GP. France could do nothing wrong. They won race after race. They utterly dominated the championship. It's not that they're any slower than they were one season ago. It's just everybody's caught up. And what was maybe called good luck, that, you know, Lady Luck favoured France. And there isn't such a thing as luck in motorsport, but things have not fallen in France's favour in this second series of A1GP. And Nicolas Lapierre, really one of the victims of Friday and Saturday's running.
Yeah, and it's time for the Chinese anthem now.
下面我们请北京市体育局局长、组委会执行主任孙康林先生、海逸公司总裁、组委会副主任刘玉先生主持发动仪式。
And to say a few special words, Sun Kanglin and Mr. Liu.
为了国家的荣耀，发动引擎。Gentlemen, for the pride of your nations, start your engines.
So the words are given, Mr. Liu Yu, the seat holder for Team China, and it's a very proud moment, I'm sure, to have got this whole Beijing event up and running. They've got their car on the grid, and they've got those engines fired up, and we're about to go racing here.
Yes,
John.
I mean, it is a fantastic achievement. This circuit has been put together in a very, very short space of time, and it only really could happen in China to put together such a large event and such a restricted period of time. And no doubt Team China, well, they want to do something for the fans here. They want to do something for the millions that will be watching on TV throughout the country of China. Massive, massive country, 1.2 billion people. And of course, for the rest of the Chinese population that live all over the rest of the world, hopefully they'll be watching here this afternoon to see Frankie Chine uphold Chinese honours.
The grandstand opposite the pits is looking full now. There weren't many people perhaps in for the practice sessions, but the fans have certainly turned up for this feature race this afternoon, and the Netherlands will be the car to lead them away. And remember, it will start under safety car conditions. Safety car moves away, and that means that the race effectively begins right now as they cross the line. The race does begin, that they have to go in single file. They're not allowed to go side by side, and that's to just keep it as clean as possible when we do get the safety car out of the way and go racing for real. In the sprint race, that was done at the end of the first lap. Let's see if that happens again this time around. I think all the cars, yes, have moved away from the grid. I'm just looking out of our commentary box window, and the last couple of cars, that's the South African car, going past our position now, so everyone away safely.
Yes, a long afternoon in Prospect, and a racetrack which is gradually picking up grip as the rubber goes down, and in particular down through turn 4. That's going to be a corner to keep an eye on.
Now I think Simon Hill has some information for us. Simon Hill, have you got some news for us?
Yes, Ben, basically just been down on the grid looking at the tyre situation for the top 10 teams, and with the exception of Team Italy and Team Mexico, all of the top runners have brand new tyres, as in shiny, completely brand new tyres that have been put on the grid, and the others are using tyres that have done a couple of laps.
Okay, thanks very much. Hopefully those who've put new tyres on have got this opportunity, obviously, to get that initial sheen off the tyres. But you can see them really sliding their cars around. That was Germany really giving the car a wiggle, trying to build up a little bit of tyre temperature in these cold conditions.
And the light on the safety car is out. And Johan Blekemuller has slowed the pack down. And this time Mexico trying to keep in contact. A bit of a gap between Mexico and Italy, but now the race effectively is on. They're not allowed to overtake, though, until they cross the start-finish line, but they can run right under the rear wings.
Yeah, Italy, third place. The green flag will be waved as they come over the line this time. Watch them over the bumps on the full tank of fuel. The race is now for real, and it is the Netherlands that leads. Second place, of course, for Team Mexico. Italy in third. And is anybody going to go for something on this opening lap, or are they all just going to settle down, settle into, and try and get the rhythm of this much, much longer race, which will see, of course, the obligatory pit stop somewhere between laps 20 and laps 50. In the background, I could just see South Africa has gained the one place. They've got past Pakistan right at the start. But up front, no change from the sprint race. It's the Netherlands leading.
Well, they're going to try and make a break, but I tell you, Mexico is going to go with them. Italy just hanging back a little bit. But watch for James Hinchcliffe in Canada. He was looking very strong towards the tail end of that sprint race. And once again, looking strong as Brazil slithers its way across the curb through turn 6 and 7.
Yeah, they're using a fair bit of curve at that chicane. They've been told if they use all 4 wheels on the middle section, they will be warned first and then black flagged second, at least get a penalty. So they've got to be a little bit wary of that. And the Netherlands keeping out of trouble, pulling away a touch there from Team Mexico in second, and then Italy in third. Watch those bumps. That, in particular, that braking area for turn 1 of the bumpiest sections on the track.
And again, watching Italy as they came through that turn 11, using a lot less of the racetrack, trying to stay in the part, but it's the smoother part where Canada behind. Less experience from James Hinchcliffe, but a lot of spirit, lets the car run wider.
There has been 1 or 2 changes behind, and I just saw France trying to gain another place. They've just got past Singapore. Problems for Pakistan, and Pakistan's car being attended to as they try and get the car out of the way. So we're going to have a local yellow. That's at turn 2, and Nur Ali has obviously got himself into a bit of a situation. But France gained a place on that last lap up to 16th. Indonesia also managed to sneak past Malaysia, but we're now under the yellows at turn 2. Elsewhere, I think they can still overtake. No sign of the safety car out there as yet.
Damage to the front wing. You can see the right-hand element of the front wing is down, so that's probably been contact with the wall on the outside of the corner. In the meantime, the safety car has been deployed. Certainly it's on standby. It has been now. There it is, leaving the pit lane. So once again, we're seeing action being brought back under the control of the safety car to ensure that the Pakistan car is removed to safety. And hopefully there's the gap somewhere. If it is turn 2, then there's a gap just off to the left of picture, and that car can be pushed back in there, and hopefully we get racing back underway much more quickly than we did in the first safety car in the sprint race.
Interestingly, they've just come past us, and Singapore's back ahead of France, so I'm not quite sure what happened, because he definitely had squeezed ahead last time as they came across the line. The timing screen indicated France ahead of Singapore, but as they've just come back past, France has lost that place once again. So we'll have to see what happens on the restart, but for the moment the safety car is out there to attend to Pakistan's stricken machine.
Well, I suspect we're going to see quite a lot of this type of interruption throughout the afternoon feature race, because one car stopping on track really will dictate the safety car being deployed. It's done in the interests of safety. It mightn't always be motor racing, but we've got to ensure that those people that are trying to get that car removed to a safe place are themselves doing so with safety. The
They've
lights
done it
are
already.
out.
Yeah, the lights are out and the safety car's coming in. Watch Bleekemolen for Team Netherlands. He's getting a bit good at these restarts, but Duran for Mexico has learned something, and he's much, much closer each time here. Italy is the one who's dropped back.
I think there was contact. I think Brazil might just have tipped the rear of Germany under braking in that hairpin bend. It was very light, but I think there was slight contact.
So past the pit boards, past the pits, where the teams get a good close-up view of their cars over the bumps there, and particularly again you could see that Dutch car dancing its way over the bump into turn one, but he keeps it in a straight line, and it's the Netherlands from Mexico and Italy, with Canada behind, and then Germany as well, and trying to keep it fairly tight into the curve but not running over the curve there. Oh, and Ireland in trouble.
Yes, no, it just...
Is that a puncture? No, I'm not sure.
It's difficult. Something we heard,
yes,
something about tyres.
punctures.
Yes, indeed. It looks like it might well be a puncture, and that there's a puncture because of contact with the wall or because of contact with another car. We did see contact take place up in the hairpin bend. That's most likely where it did occur.
Pit entrance, apparently. I think, yes, as you say.
Well, that would have been up at turn 8. That is where the hairpin is, and he may well have attempted to get into the pit lane. And unfortunately, the consequences are there's the car being pushed back now by the marshals. And that's been pushed off the racetrack. So hopefully, we are going to see this race continue without need of, once again, the safety car being deployed.
So it keeps it clean. The Netherlands continue to pull away slightly, just under a second their advantage over Team Mexico in second place, Italy third. Canada's a bit closer again to the back of Italy, then Germany, Brazil, Great Britain, and then Enger for the Czech Republic. Let's see what happened here. The tyre was already deflated.
Yes, it was. Something had happened. It may have been on the exit. Well, he was trying to get into the pit lane, just couldn't get the car around. And in fact, it's the suspension, it's not just the tyre. I think the suspension is broken on that left rear corner. Team Ireland are now in radio contact. Dave O'Neill, who will be speaking to Michael Devaney, but it's all for nothing. Ireland's hopes are dashed.
So all gone wrong for Ireland here today. They were involved in that, well, they got blocked by South Africa in the sprint race, so they dropped to the back of the field, and now they're out to the feature race. So it's been a miserable weekend for Team Ireland here. Meanwhile, the rest of them bouncing their way over the curbs, and the Netherlands' advantage has been eroded just a little bit. They all close up, of course, under braking anyway into that hairpin, so we have to keep an eye on that.
Yes, it's sort of a concertina effect. They close up under braking, then under acceleration it opens back up again. But I think the key is that the Netherlands are not quite enjoying the control of the race. So they're still leading it comfortably, but they are not quite in the position that they seem to be in the sprint race. Salvador Duran and Enrico Toccacella for Italy are really matching him, pace for pace.
So top 10 positions currently, and remember it's the top 10 that score. It's the Netherlands from Mexico, Italy in third place, Canada, Germany in fifth, Brazil in sixth, Great Britain in seventh. Then it's the Czech Republic, Switzerland. Remember, it's Neil Jarni back for the Swiss this weekend, one of the top stars of the first season of A1, and holding on to that 10th spot on the final point, currently New Zealand.
And interestingly, it is Italy who have got the fastest race lap, almost identical lap time that we saw in the sprint race, when of course the cars were carrying a lot less fuel.
On board briefly there with Team Mexico, we were looking back at the Italian car and everyone else making their way through. See Ollie Jarvis driving for Team GBR ahead of Thomas Enger for the Czech Republic, who in turn has a bit of pressure from Neil Jarni of Switzerland. Neil Jarni back for Team Switzerland, as I mentioned, and of course he missed the last two meetings of last year, the United States and China, and he's missed the first two meetings of this year, and he's had very little running this weekend, so he's really had to get on with it as quickly as possible. And Switzerland therefore down in 9th place. France have so far been unable to really make any more progress. I think they're still behind Singapore. Just glanced out of the window, they're still running in 17th position. They haven't been able to reclaim that spot.
Interesting, the Netherlands have now reclaimed that single fastest lap. As the pressure again, Mexico really staying stuck as close as is realistically possible on a track like this. You don't want to get right under the rear wing of the car, because that will affect basically your momentum. You want to just keep that little bit of a gap, but keep at the same time pressure, and that pressure has seen a response from the Netherlands. Now quickest car on track.
This is turn 4, and it's a great spot for watching the cars, and you can see the attitude of the car. Some come in with a bit of understeer, the front wheel's turning more than the car wants to go. Some come around with oversteer, the back end of the car dancing out, and it's a pretty good spot to watch the cars in full fury. But there's no doubt that the Netherlands still with the advantage here, and overtaking, as we can see, is going to be an absolute premium. But it's going to be mistakes, I think, that are going to decide this race, rather than the opportunity to get past somebody in a clean move. That's going to be tough, but there will be mistakes made, there's no doubt. People will be clipping walls as the pressure begins to tell, and as the fatigue sets in later in the race, when perhaps the vision is a bit blurred from all these bumps. It's not going to be at all easy, particularly for those not used to these hard street racing conditions. Hinchcliffe for Canada is a little more used to it. He races in the United States, of course, And the Canadian has experienced some pretty bumpy tracks in his time. We've got the slippery surface flag out.
Yes, that would be normally seen for oil on the track, but certainly it indicates there is something on the track surface that is not normal. So be aware, as Hinchcliffe for Team Canada. And he looks more, outside of the top 4 cars, he looked to be the most comfortable of the 4 that we're watching. And again, just drawing up to the rear of the Italy car. He also runs quite wide coming through turn 11. The car looks to me to be unstable, but look again, the gap now between second, third, fourth place, almost covered by less than a second.
And Italy definitely on the hunt here, but no chance for Toccocello to go past.
I just wonder if Hunter-Reay Duran have suffered from a problem, because this group of 3 cars has not been as close, and you can see the lead car is now, must be over a second, and there the gap you can see ahead of Mexico. There it is, the gap. Something I believe is going wrong for Mexico.
Well, he certainly dropped back, as you say. Indonesia, meanwhile, has just come into the pit, so there's a problem for Team Indonesia as well. This group very, very tight together now. Mexico, Italy, Canada. There's Indonesia into the pits, and it's not looking good. Oh, he's changed the nose cone, so perhaps he had contact either with the wall or with another car, and Ananda Mikkola making a pit stop.
Well, look, the gap now is opened up. It's certainly nearly the best part of 2 seconds between the leading car, Netherlands, second place, Mexico, and whether Salvador Duran made an error that caused this group of cars behind to really focus up to that second place challenge. Now, once again, Salvador Duran has found the composure to pull away that little gap.
Yeah, those little mistakes are what are going to decide the positions in this race. Let's take a look back to what was going on here a moment ago. This is how he lost his nose. Well, how he lost his front wing, presumably. Did he run into the back?
As he clipped the wing, you can see the end plate has suddenly gone through about 45 degrees. And that's just Ananda Mikkola not really being aware or paying sufficient attention.
Italy again looking for a line to get alongside Mexico, but it's not to happen. And Mexico, for the moment, holding second place. Remember, they are the points leaders, but not far behind them in this queue are the former leaders. Team Germany, Nico Hülkenberg is still very much in touch with this group as the Netherlands begins to ease away a bit more, but we'll see plenty more safety cars, I would think, in this race, and that lead may not last for all that long.
Looking back from Mexico, there you see the blue car of Team Italy. And Toccocello is managing still to get around the hairpin bend better than probably most cars in this top group, but behind Italy you've got Canada, James Hinchcliffe. He likes street tracks, he's comfortable, he doesn't mind a car moving around, which is what you get on a street track.
Good onboard shots these, and you can just see how close they are up to the wall. Listen to that V8 engine, the A1 engine provided by, developed by Zytek, 3.4 litres of it, some 520 horsepower in normal trim. And then the power boost adds in another 30 to give you 550 horsepower. That's a lot of power when you're talking a low grip surface and concrete walls on either side of you. Back on board with Team Italy.
And using the power boost button, well, really only a couple of teams have on it so far. Malaysia being one, Lebanon and Indonesia are the remaining 2. Netherlands has gone faster. That's partly why they've seen the gap, which is now up to 3.1 seconds between Mexico in second place and the Netherlands leading. That's why the gap has increased. The Netherlands has found pace, and looking down at the lap times, I think that Mexico is still struggling. Those 2 cars behind, Italy and Canada, are running about 0.2 of a second quicker until they catch up, and then they have to reduce their pace to that of the Mexico car.
Some different lines being chosen through that corner past the pits. Some people holding it out a bit wider to try and avoid a bump, and Mexico tight there, and there was a problem for Mexico. Italy's taken second place, and Mexico actually went to the inside. He has got a problem, surely, and now he's trying to defend from Canada. Canada's got to watch out because he's got Germany trying to come past.
And be careful, because I think that Mexico have got a car problem. We can't see anything wrong, but the car does not look stable. It hasn't got the was appeared in the sprint race, but Hinchcliffe goes down the inside. He takes that position. Now Nico Hülkenberg from Germany, he wants to get past. It'll be difficult, it'll be impossible to try and do it into the chicane. He may have a look at the hairpin, but by doing it into the hairpin, he will be on the inside, and he might have a problem getting his car turned with that restricted lock.
So now we've got Italy into second. Germany's going down the inside. Will he get round the hairpin? It's going to be tight.
Brazil bumps into the back of Germany. Mexico, well,
very, very tight through there. Brazil ends up losing out, and Great Britain trying to get alongside to make the most of that, but he can't do it, and the Czech Republic in there as well. So that was a brave move. That's the first time we've seen anybody overtake at the hairpin, and Team Germany actually managed it. I wonder if they would, but they were able to get through. Germany now up to 4th position.
Oh, and there was the problem. He slammed the wall. He's got a problem on that left rear of the car. I think that might be a mechanical problem, because it was the consequence of hitting the wall was not the reason why he hit it in the first place. There's a problem problem with the left rear of his car. It might be a slowly deflating tyre, it might be something else.
We said that mistakes might determine this race, and there's the first example of that. And Piers Maserati, team manager there, big sigh from him, a shrug of the shoulders, and well, I'm not sure that Team Mexico will retain the lead of the points, because Germany is now ahead of them. Germany now really looking at trying to attack Canada, and they've proved that you can overtake at the hairpin, but it is very, very tricky. Somehow he managed to get enough lock on and squeeze round the corner.
Well, the only way I think you're going to pass into the hairpin is if the car coming out of the chicane prior to that is a lot slower. If you lose the momentum, then you've got a chance, but if you're running with a car or racing a car that's got a comparable performance, it's not going to happen.
So it's all looking pretty racy behind as well. We've got a problem for the Mexican car as he comes past our position here. We've just seen the Mexican car touring past us, so he's really in big trouble.
Yeah, he's going to stop. He's going to try and get the car pulled into the pit lane. He's just got to find somewhere on the racetrack. There's certainly a problem. It looked to me to be in the left rear of the car. It looked to me a mechanical problem. Could have been a tyre deflating, but it's all over for Mexico.
So we're on board with Team Germany. Bit of a slide through turn 4 there, and now down towards the chicane. He's tucked in behind Canada, remember, and this is proving to be a good battle between two of the impressive youngsters of this second season of A1GP. James Hinchcliffe for Canada, Nico Hulkenberg for Team Germany. Let's take a look at what happened to Singapore a moment ago. Christian Murchison, he spun it now. Did he keep it going? Oh, that was impressive. He did a good job.
He did a good job. I mean, we saw one car spinning there. That was Adrian Zaug in the sprint race. He didn't keep it going, but he did have damage to the car.
So Singapore get away with it. Germany here still trying to keep up and tight to the back of the Canadian car, but remember the Netherlands leads by 5.4 seconds, and it's Italy in second, quite a way ahead of these two who are battling over third.
Well, we've had effectively 15 racing laps if you take out one for the safety car, so the tyres and drivers are now going the longest at an unbroken period at any point in the weekend, and this is all new territory to the teams, to the drivers. And they'll be talking the radio to their teams, explaining what's going on when they make that mandatory pit stop, whether they will be able to make a car adjustment as well, if that's what is necessary, to ensure that when they go back out on track, they've got a car that makes their life easier.
The demise of Team Mexico has brought a new car up into the top 10. That's USA. So Phil Keebler, driving for Team USA, is now up into 10th place. The next to try and get into that top 10 will be Australia, then will be China, Malaysia, France are currently in 14th.
And just watch the steering wheel to see if any opposite lock is required. No, it's not this time, but just the bumps as you come through turn 11, down into the braking for turn 1. And again, you can see the amount of oversteer that some of the drivers are now having to deal with. Turn in, not too bad. It's more for that one corner, that turn 1, that seems to be the problem.
So into the left-hander up at the top end of the track, and then back onto the longer straight. Italy there running in fairly lonely second place. It's still this pretty tight race that's going on for third that's demanding our attention. Behind them it's Brazil and Great Britain. Brazil 5th, Great Britain 6th, 7th for Czech Republic, 8th place for Switzerland, and Switzerland, Niels Jani looking very close. Indonesia's a lap down, so the next car there is New Zealand, the Black Beauty ahead of USA. Then another little gap back to Australia. They're chased by China, followed by Malaysia. Malaysia, of course, so successful last time out, and also chased by Team France, and that's where Nicolas Lapierre is. He has got himself stuck behind the two-time winner last time in the Czech Republic, Alex Young of Malaysia.
And Frankie Chang looking like he wants to get past in a big rush. This is his home race. He wants to deliver for his nation, but again, looking at the fourth of those cars, Nicolas Lapierre, for the experienced Lapierre, all he can do is just be patient. This is still a long way. We have 51 laps of this race to go, whether it goes that distance or whether it'll be called on time. But, you know, early still in these races, he can just not afford to sit back and wait. He's behind the very experienced Alex Young. That's not going to be any easy overtake if he gets an opportunity. He's just going to wait and see what happens. Come the pit stops as the track again will come to the cars.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a slide for the Foster-sponsored Australian car there a moment ago. Noticed on the brakes, the back end of the car just sliding around a little bit, but we're on board here with Team China, Frankie Cheng, and he's going to try and take advantage of any little slip-ups from Karl Reindler. Reindler driving for Australia, one of the less experienced competitors out here. He's been racing in British F3 this year, but not so experienced as these sort of big, powerful cars, particularly as the race progresses, dealing with the physical effort required here.
And you could see that the China car, Frankie Cheng, was a lot quicker through the chicane than the Australia car, but of course unable to get into position. Unless you can get alongside, you're better not to try it, because if you're halfway there, you're caught in no man's land, and that will result in contact. Now the gap stretches out as the cars come onto the fastest part of the racetrack down into turn 1.
18 laps have been completed. The pit lane window will open at the end of 20 laps. We're not far off pit stop track terrain here at the moment. Team China keeping an eye on their man as he's...
In the meantime, Team Canada is the first team to get into the 1 minute 50, or the 1 minute, the 58s, with a 58.6.
Yep.
James Hinchcliffe in third place. The gap between he and Italy in second, 1.5 seconds. And that's going to reduce with that fastest lap to Canada.
Those pit stops are going to have such a bearing on this race. The battle in the pit lane is going to be massive. When you've got groups as close as this one, for example, Australia at the head of it, France at the back of it, and they're all fighting from 11th to 14th.
And there you've got a reason why China is quicker through the chicane, because he in fact has got 4 wheels off the racetrack as he bounces over that centre section of turns 6 and 7.
He's got to be careful. The race director may take a dim view if he does that every time around, but that's the gamble they've got to play. Carl Reiner for Australia still leading this group. These guys, remember, are just outside the points. This is from 11th downwards, but up front the Netherlands still lead the race from Italy, Canada, Germany and Brazil, and it does look as though 1 or 2 teams are preparing for pit stops.
Well, we hear that Italy is, and the fact is, as we speak, Italy is getting ready for a pit stop, so coming in at the earliest opportunity to put on a fresh set of tyres. Of course, this will put them down the field, but this will all shake itself out over the course of the next 20 or so laps.
Still watching China behind Australia here. Frankie Cheng, who was so impressive in the Czech Republic and has really brought the Chinese team up several levels.
Look, he's going absolutely almost as straight as possible across the chicane.
Yeah, and it's not helping him. He's not able to get alongside the Australian car as they come down to the hairpin.
And in the period we've been watching, this is the battle going on down through the field, 11th and 12th position. Italy now fastest car on the racetrack. The gap down to 5.4 seconds. So on the lap which she was before he came in, I see Italy preparing to come in. Italy quickest car on track.
Yeah, as you can see, there's the fastest lap classification. So Italy have the fastest lap. They're not leading, remember, it's the Netherlands that still lead. But Italy actually has the individual fastest lap in this race. That is all fastest lap order you're looking at there, not actual overall position. The Netherlands are in control of this one, and we're waiting to see. With 20 laps completed now, the pit window is opened up. Are we going to see a big rush of cars into pit lane? I think we will. I think that cars will try and come in early.
Italy is in, and a car coming in ahead of them. And that, in fact, is Netherlands also. So the lead car and the second place car have come in on the same lap. So this is going to be a battle that you can see just ahead of you there, the Netherlands car. That's the orange car in the distance as we look now back at Italy. 4 people on the wheels, 2 in the jacks.
So this is the battle for the lead, perhaps taking place in pit lane.
Left front is a problem. Left front
and the Netherlands is away. I can see the Netherlands. Yeah, there we are. That's a good stop for Team Netherlands. A slower stop for Team Italy, and that could lose Toccocello plenty of places.
And look at the dust on the pit lane as the cars leave. So that is going to cost Toccocello, and that will, when this all shakes down, well, look, 30 seconds for the Netherlands, 37.5 seconds for Italy. So that's effectively him dropping down to maybe 4th place if he is lucky.
That's right, yeah, so that's a real blow. But of course it depends on everyone else getting a clean pit stop. And remember, with A1GP you're only allowed 1 guy on each wheel. It's very different here. 1 guy has to do all the hard work of removing the first wheel and getting the new tyre on there as well. We've got yellow flags being waved, safety car also being called. Now this is interesting. They are not allowed to make a pit stop once the safety car's been called. They'll have to, well,
they
that's
have to
interesting.
wave them through. They must wave them through, in other words. So Britain and Germany, well, Germany is making the pit stop.
Well, were they in the pit lane before the safety car was called? That's what it will come down to, and that could see some arguments going on. But for Team Germany, they came in just as the safety car was called. Problems for Germany. He's got to push back before he can go forwards.
In the meantime, Team GBO, no, Team USA has a problem on their looks like well, they're doing something on the rear brakes.
Yeah, rear
Germany
caliper.
leaves the pit lane.
And he's out ahead of Italy. Now that means he's gained position on Italy. Remember, Italy had that slow stop. Looking at the times, 35.7 for Germany, 36.1 for Great Britain. That still means the Netherlands have had the best stop.
And they've had a huge advantage for the safety car. All that advantage, all the good work in the pit lane by the Dutch team will be effectively negated.
But Canada leads the race because they've not been into the pits, and Brazil are now up into 2nd place likewise. Czech Republic 3rd, New Zealand 4th, and the Netherlands 5th. So let's see how this works its way out. So different pit strategies there. That was a car stop.
Yes, the car just up. That was on the exit of turn 4. So whoever car that is, and I don't think we could get to see it clearly. That was a car just on the inside of the exit of turn 4.
So here you are with the leaders, Canada, Brazil, Czech Republic, Indonesia's a lap down, so that doesn't count, New Zealand, and then the Netherlands. So despite having made their pit stop, Netherlands still out in the head of the likes of Australia, China, Malaysia and France, who have not yet made their stops.
And one might say effectively there is second place, that is Germany, as a consequence of their early stop, but we have to wait and see what will happen. And we don't know really quite which car that was. We couldn't see which car turned at turn 4.
So indeed, it's all rather entertaining at the moment to see exactly what's going on here.
Well, maybe we'll get a view as the wrecker comes along.
It's the Swiss car.
Oh dear, Neil Yarni, and that's a surprise. Again, looks possibly like a left rear corner. It doesn't look like it's a puncture, or maybe just simply something we can't determine. Whatever it is, it needs the wrecker to come and pick it up. Let's hope that he keeps the jib of that crane in that position once the car is on it, because in fact when they picked up the South Africa car in the sprint race, as it was making its way down to the end of the pit lane, they had to dive in front of the wrecker to say stop, because your jib is going to hit the gantry going across the circuit, which includes of course the start-finish lights.
Well, they'll hopefully get that car out of the way, but in the meantime, with 45 laps to go, or just under 45 minutes, which probably is going to be the more crucial factor. This is a 70-minute race, but the time may be the limiting factor rather than the number of laps. It is Canada that now leads the race, having not yet stopped. They've left their pit stop till later. Brazil are running in second position. New driver, remember, for Brazil, Rafael Matos. He's doing an outstanding job so far. Czech Republic with Thomas Enger at the wheel. Now let's look back. This was when Germany had to be pushed back because of the car of Great Britain ahead of them. They needed a push back before they could get out again.
Well, I mean, Nico Hülkenberg had his fist out shaking it. It really wasn't anybody's fault. The pit lane has got a restricted working space, and also because it is on a curb, it is a lot more difficult to come in and get your car squared up. When Germany did it, of course the pit lane was empty, but with Team GBR coming in, there was a car ahead, so he had to put this car at an angle.
And another team that we hear is in trouble, Team USA. The car is stopped out on circuit as well. It is not running at the moment, and it means that Team USA are effectively out of the running here today as well. So we've got, as we thought, there would be a lot of unpredictable events happening in this feature race, and we've already lost a few. Ireland, of course, we saw out earlier on. Mexico, Pakistan, right pretty much at the start. Now we seem to have lost both Switzerland and USA, which brings us down to 17 cars still running.
44 laps to go, and while the leader is Canada, with Brazil second, in effect the race leader is still the Netherlands in 5th place, and in 2nd place, but 10th on the road, is Germany.
Yeah, that's right, but we're going to have to wait to see how those other pit stops go before we can say that, because of course the Netherlands will be stuck in traffic when we try and get this thing restarted. And if Canada can really make a break with Brazil and open up a bit of an advantage, then it could be useful. Now, we've got some news on Brazil from Lee McKenzie in the pits. Lee.
Thanks very much, Ben. Yeah, well, I was just speaking to Tuka Rocha, who's driven the past 2 rounds for Team Brazil. He was saying the guys were there on the wall, ready to do the pit stop when the safety car was called out. They're pretty unhappy because it means that they'll be having to have a pit stop and then go towards the back of the field.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Thank you, Lee. And of course, the question was, and there'll be arguments, were Germany and Great Britain already in the pit lane? Now, it was said in the driver's briefing I was at earlier, John, if your car had entered the pit lane and you already committed to the pit lane before the safety car signal was given, then that was okay. You were allowed to do that. It just, somebody's got to know whether they were in already.
Well, I think the difficulty is that the pit lane actually begins at turn 8, midway through turn 8, you peel off, and that's where the beginning of the pit lane is. So if you were committed to coming in, you may not have been aware, or even the teams are aware, that the safety car was about to be thrown, and you could have committed to coming in, and you would have been doing your move into the pit lane simultaneously to the point where the safety car was being deployed. And I think that those were in that position, and I think principally Germany was the one that was in that position. Therefore, I think that they've got to be allowed to keep the position.
So Canada, Brazil, Czech Republic, and then the New Zealand car currently running in 4th place, with the Netherlands the first of the cars that has stopped, still running in 5th. Let's go down to the pits once again. This time let's hear from Simon Hill.
As Ben, Team USA had an absolute nightmare of a stop. They spoke to the mechanics, and basically what happened is the studs that hold the wheel assembly together broke, and they just couldn't get the wheel off at all. And I think that's possibly contributed to the problem. You can see there exactly what was going on. It's a big burly lad, the mechanic there, and even he couldn't get it off.
Oh, well, that's a great shame. Thank you for that, Simon. Yeah, we just saw Phil. He's obviously out of the car. It looks as though game over for Team USA, and it's the pit stop that's caught them out. Real problems there with that right rear, and it's no chance of scoring points today for USA.
Yes, and I think, again, it's a feature of this racetrack. It is bumpy, and, of course, we've never seen an A1GP car on a circuit quite as bumpy as this. I think maybe Durban in South Africa was the nearest, being a street track. But it is really punishing on these cars as well as it is on the drivers. But they're getting a chance to regroup, recover, draw breath, and a little bit of relaxation for them before the safety car will once again come off track and motor racing will get underway. But I think that the people that have benefited, clearly the Netherlands by coming in at the time they did, and Germany, assuming that they are allowed to maintain that position, those are the two nations I think are going to be the big beneficiaries. And if I was Canada, Brazil or the Czech Republic, those are the top three currently en route, I would be feeling very aggrieved that the safety car was deployed. Not deliberately, that's just a function of safety on the circuit, but got deployed at the point when they wanted to come in.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I suppose with how many laps have we got completed? 26 laps now. The pit lane window stays open till lap 50 in theory. So they've still got some time, Canada, to try and open up an advantage when the race does restart. But for the moment, the safety car lights are still on. Let's go down to the pits again and hear from Lee.
Thanks, Ben. I've just spoken to David Sears, who's the team manager for Team Germany, and he assures me that they were actually in the pit lane before the safety car was called. They're happy that they are sitting in P2 effectively. They are very unhappy though with Team GBR, who they feel deliberately came in and cut them up. That's why Nico Hülkenberg was raising his hand.
Great, that's good to hear, Lee. From that information tells us that the Germany were happy they were in. Great Britain, as you say, came in at the same time, but Great Britain may well have gained from this. They are fourth of the cars that have made pit stops. So even though there might have been that little bit of disagreement in the pit lane between the two of them, they both could well have gained out of this. We'll have to see how events turn out in the latter stages.
Well, it will all depend what happens if there are further safety deployments during the remaining 41 laps of this race. We have some 38, just over that in terms of time, but nevertheless the race currently, I believe, is really going to be controlled by the Netherlands, with Germany, once everyone else who is in between or ahead have to make their mandatory pit stops.
That's right, yes, and I think all the other guys can hope for is a clear spell of no safety car after this. That's their only chance, but of course we've seen the safety car out several times. The lights are out, so the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, and Team Canada will be leading the race. Of course, James Hinchcliffe led the race last time out in Brno in the Czech Republic. Now he's got the duties on a street track, and all he can do here is go absolutely hell for leather and hope there are no more safety car periods coming up.
I just wondered whether anybody would be bold enough to actually just go straight into the pits and make their pit stop now when everybody else is sort of fighting to get back up to speed. Maybe that would have been a smart play.
Well, certainly not that play being done by Canada, by Brazil or by the Czech Republic. Those top three immediately running away. Remember, the white and red car in fourth place is the Indonesian car, which is actually a lap down. That could be a problem for those behind who are trying to stay on terms with the leaders, and the next one up is New Zealand. So it's New Zealand that's going to have the job of trying to get past that lapped car of Indonesia as quickly as possible.
Well, I would hope that there will be waved blue flags for Indonesia when a competitor car, a car that is running ahead on the road, is trying to find a way past. But Ananda Mikkel has never always been the easiest person to give ground to a car racing for position, particularly, but nonetheless for a car that is lapping. Look at Brazil.
Down the inside, Brazil going for the lead, and Brazil slithers past, but can he hold it? No, he can't. He gets round and Canada reclaims the spot. Boy, that was brave.
But that caught James Hinchcliffe totally by surprise. He did not expect to have a car slither down the inside. It almost worked for Brazil, but quick thinking by Brazil and Canada managed to get both cars around the corner when it was, well, very, very close indeed.
These two have raced against each other pretty much throughout the season in the USA, so they may know each other quite well, and Matos obviously thought, well, this is worth a punt. Down the inside, brave attempt. They both got away with it. That's the remarkable thing.
Yes, it is, and it was very close indeed in that hairpin bend, and it could have been Czech Republic, the car that's running third of these. There we go down. Look, I mean, he almost ran into the back of him. In fact, I don't even think he was trying to pass. I think he was slightly caught unawares by Hinchcliffe's braking, and he just pulled out to the left to avoid contact and slithered down. So I don't think it was actually an overtaking manoeuvre at all. I think it was a matter of survival or crash.
Yeah, I think you're right. That was self-preservation. He was just trying to avoid the back of the Canadian car. I don't know what happened happened there? I suppose Hinchcliffe just braked a bit earlier than Brazil was expecting. So it's still status quo there. Indonesia still not out of the way, but in fact Indonesia's pulled away from New Zealand, so he's not going to be getting blue flags right now because Indonesia is obviously quite quick. It's just that he damaged his nose cone wing, the front wing, earlier on in this race, and at the moment he's still able to lap quickly, and New Zealand isn't able to be quite as close. The Netherlands is the first of the pit stoppers, so still looking good this for Jeroen Bleekemolen in the orange colours, because he's the first of those that have made a pit stop.
But the key to the Netherlands is they are only some 6 seconds behind the car that is leading on the road. That's Canada. They've yet to make their pit stop, so 6 seconds. There you saw the orange car come out of turn 3, and of course all those cars that are ahead of that orange car have yet to make a pit stop. This is currently looking to be a gift to the Netherlands.
It is, but the Netherlands deserve it because he led the early stages, and even more importantly, they had a brilliant pit stop.
There's still waved yellow flags on the exit of turn 7.
There's a car up there. There's a car has spun out of the chicane, but I'm not sure which car it is as yet, but somebody has lost it coming out of the chicane. We've also got people getting ready for pit stops, so we're going to see more changes going on here. And coming into
I think this is Canada.
Indonesia, I think it is.
It is Indonesia, yes.
Yeah, so they get out of the way effectively as well. They're a lap down.
But another team with red overalls and red helmets, they're waiting for their car to come as well.
So we could well see race leader Team Canada coming into the pit soon. He's opened up, as you say, only a 2-second. And France is in. France is in. Now, they had gained ground, but this is going to drop them right back down the pack, of course. Behind them, Lebanon also into the pits. So lots of pit stops. Yeah, that's okay, pretty clear. Good stop for Team France.
Yes, very good. That's almost matching the time that we saw for the Netherlands. So Nicolas Lapierre goes out.
China is out. And that's the car, I think, that is on the straight out of the chicane.
And that will also be a safety car, because that car, there is nowhere for that car to be pushed. It will have to be, again, picked up on the flatbed truck and driven away to safety.
Well, you said, John, that China, Frankie Cheng, had been using that curb pretty heavily. I wonder if it was connected with that, or did someone give him a bit of a shove as they went through the chicane? But it's definitely that section of circuit where the Chinese car is out of the race.
He certainly was the greediest of the drivers using the curb on the inside. Whether that was the cause of the incident or whether it was something else, will we wait to see. Safety car, again, on standby, waiting to be deployed, waved yellow flags all around the circuit.
Yeah, and it's safety car period again, and that means these guys can't make their pit stop, and effectively it's ended their chances now of doing anything, getting a decent result out of this, because when they all queue up together again and then have to make their stop, they're going to drop right down the order.
I'm still perplexed as to why somebody didn't take the opportunity once the safety car was being called back into the pit lane, that they themselves didn't take that opportunity. And I thought that Canada, that would have been a smart play to have brought him in immediately and get it over and done with, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely gone wrong from their point of view, and not getting in before this next safety car is going to hurt them very, very badly, because it's going to drop them effectively behind all the cars that have stopped. And we've now not just had that initial group, we've had a bunch of other cars make their stops. So we've had something like 10 cars now have made their stops, and that's going to drop people like Canada, Brazil and the Czech Republic and New Zealand way down the order when they eventually come to make their pit stops. The safety car on circuit, and we've also got another rescue car out there to try and deal with the Chinese machine. There is the Chinese car. You can see it's well out of the chicane. He's obviously hit the wall at least once, if not twice, taken the front wing off. They're waving India past, and the safety car's going to try and wait until he picks up the Canadian car, which is, of course, the current race leader.
Yes, and it's just difficult to pick up from where we are. In fact, this is pretty much the back of the pack, so the safety car pulls over to take a line, because it needs to use the full width of the racetrack here to get around itself.
Yeah, that's right. Can't afford to let anybody go through now. He's waving them again, and still waiting for that Canadian car to catch him up. I think, yeah, it's just heading down to the other side.
Yeah, we saw Canada and Brazil as they head down, so the safety car really needs to slow down even more than it is to enable Canada, Brazil, who are the leading cars on the track, to catch up. But there's still going to be a time this safety car will be on track, because there's no indication of any wrecker coming on to pick up the China car. Well, I'm not sure if there's any space or access at that chicane to enable that that China car to be pushed away to safety.
So he has picked up the race leader now, and it's Canada and Brazil who are weaving around behind, but this is not looking good at all for these guys. Czech Republic car there, Thomas Inge, third place. Of course, all three yet to make their stops.
The safety car has to wait now until the rest of the field catch up to the end of this, well, I was going to say chain of cars. It's currently just 3 cars. But that might take another lap or so for those the entire field to make their way around another lap to catch up to the tail.
That's right. Well, positions top left of your screen, fastest
left
lap at
rear corner broken. That was
point.
Contact with the barrier. It may well have been as the consequence of jumping over the centre part of the chicane, and we know that Frankie Chang was the one that was most, I called it greedy, but he was taking the biggest chunk of that curbing, and maybe it just actually in the end slapped him back and said, that's enough of that.
Indeed. And just coming through there, we saw Italy and Great Britain a moment ago. They are likely to be running 3rd and 4th once everything has settled down and the other guys have made their pit stops. And that's pretty good news in terms of a result. Italy would get themselves on the podium again, and Ollie Jarvis would be scoring useful points on his debut for A1 Team Great Britain. But at the moment, we're under safety car. They cannot make a pit stop, remember, under safety car conditions. That is a new rule that's been introduced for this year, and you cannot come into the pits once the safety car's been deployed. We're looking back now from the safety car at the race leader, Team Canada.
Yes, so you get an idea of, I mean, that is a very wide angle camera, the distance between the car, the safety car, and Canada is not that great. Of course, the pace that the safety car runs at, it is a road car. It's running as hard as it can. Nevertheless, it is well below that of a racing car, and in particular, everybody will want to keep tyre temperatures up as high as possible. But for Canada, Brazil and the Czech Republic, they've been caught out by that first safety car intervention. They've been now caught out by the second one. So, well, still a long way to go. We're just under half an hour remaining. 33 laps, I think it is, of laps available. So it's going to be a timed race again.
One interesting aspect, France, they're ahead of Malaysia. You just saw them come through. Now, of course, we'd seen France sitting behind Malaysia in that previous run before they made their pit stop. So France gained on that pit stop.
Yeah, France had a very good, I think, a 23-second stop. So they made up that position, no doubt, due to good pit work by Team France. And that's the best place on a street circuit to get all your overtaking done. If you can do it in the pit lane, it does enable you to make progress elsewhere.
And in fact, that was a good choice to come in. I think France could well end up in the points here today. If they are, the lights have gone out. Lights have gone out on the safety car. It's in this lap. We're going racing once again.
But will Canada take the option to come in? Surely, you know, I don't know why they want to stay out on racetrack. You've got to get your pit stop over and done with as soon as possible. And he continues on racetrack.
So he's going to try and pull away again as much as he can. I suppose that's all he can count on. But remember, he's got to come in the next 15 laps. Well, we'll get a bit more than 15 laps, hopefully, as long as we don't get more safety car out there. And the rest of them all racing hard as well. It's Canada from Brazil and Czech Republic all to stop yet. Same with New Zealand. Then we've got the Netherlands and Germany. Now, John, the Netherlands and Germany both have stopped. They're very close to one another on track. You know, I wouldn't put it past Nico Hulkenberg to have a bit of a go at getting past Team Netherlands, which would be for the effective lead.
It's Italy looking at behind Germany. Italy is effectively the third of the cars that are, in our terms, leading this race. We've got Canada, Brazil, the Czech Republic, New Zealand, the first 4. They have yet to make a pit stop. There's the race leader, in my view, the orange car of the Netherlands, followed by Germany, followed by Italy. Those 3 cars are racing not just for the positions as they stand right now, but they're racing for the podium positions of this 68-lap race.
Yeah, 2 things to watch out for. Czech Republic. Ooh, I thought he was having a go at Brazil there. He just about managed to sort himself out, and everyone else follows through. But that other group of the Netherlands, Germany, Italy and Great Britain absolutely tied together in what we're calling the effective lead battle, and that's because they have made their stops, and these guys who are actually leading have not yet stopped. So 2 races to keep an eye on. That for the outright lead at the moment, being led by Canada with Brazil in close attendance, but also the race going on between the Netherlands, Germany, Italy and Great Britain. They're currently 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th.
Well, Canada and Brazil are locked together as they've been pretty much throughout this race. 2 racers who have been accustomed to racing on street tracks in North America, but they're not able to take any advantage. Their cars, of course, have got tyres on that have now completed, 37 laps, as opposed to those of the Netherlands, Germany, Italy and Great Britain. They've covered something about 7 or 8 laps.
India's just come into the pits, so we've got another guy making a pit stop. A little bit of debris out on the circuit as well. Hopefully that was just a bit of bunting, I think, so no damage done to the cars as they run over it. Netherlands still protecting its position from Germany. Italy there, Enrico Tococello, and then Ollie Jarvis for Team Great Britain on his debut and looking to score useful points. But the Netherlands really having to work quite hard, not being able to make the break that he was able to make earlier on. Now, I think we've got a little bit of an opportunity to try and catch up with what happened to Team China. It did rather happen in the background of one of our shots. Let's see, right in the background, John, we might just be able to pick up, yeah, look.
Oh, yeah, he just gave us, again, abuse or overuse of the chicane, and that was the demise of China. And that was a replay of the incident that we saw after that safety car went in. When Brazil went down the inside of Canada, it was more about avoidance than it was actually an overtaking manoeuvre. And there we see Team China on the pit lane, and that'll be disappointing indeed for them after such a strong showing from Frankie Chang.
So Canada again trying to open up this gap from the Brazilian Rafael Matos, who has been very impressive but might be out of luck here today. Netherlands tied up behind New Zealand and being pressurised by Team Germany at the same time. The Netherlands in this sort of sandwich can't do much about it.
No, the Netherlands want to get past New Zealand to give themselves that little bit of breathing space to take the pressure off that Germany is applying all the way through. But of course, Matt Halliday in the Team New Zealand car, he's got his own race. He currently is in 4th place on the road, and for any reason should this race, for example, be red flagged, well, that's where New Zealand would finish. They would finish 4th.
That's right, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Indonesia back in, no, must be problems now. Yep, he's out of the car.
He slapped the wall, the left rear. You could see the big bite donut. There it is, there's the slap, left rear and in fact left front.
Is that the same place that Mexico did it? I think it
and it's the only right-hand corner on the racetrack.
So it must be there. Turn number 1, that is. And it's claimed 2 victims now. It was Team Mexico early in the race, and now it's Indonesia. We are down, what are we down to, 15 runners? I think India went back out, yeah. So 15 cars out of the 22 that started are still running. As we thought, this Beijing street circuit is claiming quite a lot of victims.
And we've now got a fastest lap going to Canada, 58, well, 58.107. James Hinchcliffe doing everything he can to try and get more clean air between himself and Brazil. Gap up to 2 seconds, but of course he is still to make that mandatory pit stop. And the difference is between Canada leading and the Netherlands, who are in effect the race leader. Once all those cars ahead make their pit stop, is 8.4 seconds. He needs to get 28.4 seconds to have any chance of being on the podium.
Bit of a slide from Netherlands, but he caught it quite well, and I wondered whether Germany might have an opportunity there, but it was denied to him. So Nico Hulkenberg sits in behind the Dutch driver Jeroen Bleekemolen. Already a race winner, both these guys. Of course, Bleekemolen won earlier today, and Hulkenberg for Germany won earlier this season at Zandvoort. So great race going on between these two guys, but with 28 laps to go, there are only 10 laps remaining in which teams can make their pit stop. They have to do it by lap 50. We're on lap number 41 right now, and so those lead drivers really going as fast as they can, but will have to pit soon.
Look at Italy there, a slide, she comes through. There's the pit area. There's New Zealand currently in 4th place, and they're there because they have not made a pit stop, but they've got 8 laps now remaining, and they're on their 42nd lap, so at some point they've got to get in, and of course that 4th place will just evaporate.
So we've got 4 cars up there who haven't stopped yet. Let's get some news from Simon Hill. Oh, we'll get that in just a second. We're watching India as they come through the chicane. Of course, race leader Canada trying to get past him. Down the inside, should be able to... No, he doesn't manage to get through. Let's try go back down to the pits. Let's hear from Simon.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, John Village, team manager for Team Canada, went rushing down to India to try and obviously get a message to Oman Ibrahim via the team to get out of James Hinchcliffe's way. Doesn't seem to have worked yet, though.
No, that's right, it doesn't, and he'll be getting blue flags as well.
Yes, and James Hinchcliffe has got to be very, very careful. There, the contact again. I think that was contact for India on that notorious exit of turn 1.
Yeah, I think he moved out of the way as well, though. He backed off. Maybe he did make a slight brush against the wall, I'm not sure. And Team Canada may have a bit more. They've got some power boosts available to them. Most cars have still got plenty of power boosts. Most of them haven't really bothered to use them very much in this race. They
I don't think they've got even the time. Their concentration is so intense because you cannot just take your eyes or your mind off one iota of this racetrack.
Absolutely right. And Canada now again trying to stretch their legs from Brazil, the Czech Republic and New Zealand, but it's still the same situation. In the background, watch out for the orange car, the 5th placed car of the Netherlands, because that is the effective leader of the race once everybody has made their pit stops. And those guys have only got 8 laps now in which to make the pit stops. Great Britain still tucked in behind Italy. It's that group of 4 cars that are really fighting for the podium positions, and these guys up ahead are just trying to enter a damage limitation exercise.
New Zealand now coming up behind India, so can that Halliday find a way past Oman Ibrahim as they come through turn 1, the run down into turn 2, nowhere to pass here. Difficult in these first 3 turns, but going into turn 4, we've not seen anybody achieve it, but a good run off turn 3 can give you the opportunity to get up, and all you have to do is get alongside As India pulls now well over to the left. Let's the Netherlands car go through. Germany will also want to get past, so those 3 cars have gotten through cleanly. That was intelligent driving from Aman Ibrahim.
Yeah, he's doing a good job and keeping out of the way of the race leaders here. Meanwhile, further down the top 10 at the moment, you've got Australia running in 9th place rather. France are in 10th position, so they are in the points, and the prospect of scoring a few more once the race leaders make their way into the pits.
So this is effectively the battle for the lead of this race. Netherlands and Germany, and directly behind Germany you've got the blue of Italy, and behind that the red, white and blue of Great Britain.
A race in which it's very easy to get frustrated, of course, and Nico Hülkenberg here for Team Germany has to keep control of his emotions, stay patient, even though he can see that effective leading car just ahead of him. Can't afford to throw it in the wall, and they're looking for points from this race and trying to retain, or regain rather, the lead in the series. They should do that with some points this afternoon, because of course, as we know, Team Mexico went out of the race very early on. Pakistan, Ireland, Switzerland, the United States, China and Indonesia all out of this feature race in China.
Yes, and the Netherlands, they're currently in 4th place, so 10 points will give them 25 if they were to go on and win. But the biggest winner of the day could, as you mentioned, be Germany, currently only 2 points behind Mexico. They're out. So all these calculations, great fun to do right now, but of course they may have beat to nothing by the time we get to the end of 70 minutes racing, which is what we're going to see. We're not going to see the maximum of 68 laps completed in the remaining time.
Only 5 laps left for the top 4 cars to make their pit stops, and that means that we'll see Canada, Brazil, Czech Republic and New Zealand in within the next 5 laps. If they don't, then of course they will get a penalty. May even be excluded if they don't make their pit stop within that time. So they've got to do it. It's just a question of how far they can pull out and where it puts them back in the queue, if you like, whether there's still a chance of them scoring points.
And James Hinchcliffe, very, very committed, coming through turn 4, ahead of Brazil, ahead of the Czech Republic. That is the first 3 in order of merit, but they've yet still to make their pit stops. New Zealand as well, so it is then the orange car that we're just going to get a glimpse of as it comes out of the chicane right at the back of the straight.
But looking down the list, you know, even with a great pit stop, they still won't really be able to get out in front of any of the other cars that are still running in this race. Lebanon's currently running in 14th place, 31 seconds off the lead, and we've seen that the best stop, the best pit in to pit out time is 30 seconds today, and that was by the Netherlands.
And as you predicted, Ben, don't discount France. They've worked their way bit by bit, slowly by slowly, up into 10th place. They are currently, well, they're a lap down on the leader, but let's have a look and see what it shows. It's 18, they're currently 18 seconds down on Canada. So they will clearly eclipse Canada when Canada is forced to make its pit stop. It has to do it. They're on lap 47. So it's they're going to be coming in very shortly, and I can see Canada, Brazil and the Czech Republic dropping down to the bottom end of the top 10 behind Great Britain, Australia and France.
Oh, look at this, sliding into the hairpin. I'll tell you what, Hinchcliffe is absolutely on it. It's a great drive from Hinchcliffe at the moment, and by Rafael Matos
in the pitch for Brazil.
Yeah, now is Czech. No, Czech's not coming in, and I'm saying it's impressive because behind them in 3rd place, Thomas Enger, very experienced driver for the Czech Republic, was able to just about maintain pace, but if anything, these two have been able to ease away from him. So these two youngsters really flying, but Rafael Matos now into the pits at last for Team Brazil. So the crew goes to work, 1 guy only on each wheel. The guys on the outside do have a bit of help from someone who can run around and bring the new tyres to them. But apart from that, it's a solo effort on each corner of the car. Have they got the other side done?
No, there's a problem on the left rear. The car's down off the track, 29 seconds. It's underway. That's some 6 seconds slower than the best we've seen so far this afternoon. And that is going to hurt Brazil. But of course, we're going to see what happens to Canada, Czech Republic, New Zealand. They have still got to come in.
So Brazil rejoins, but it puts them right down at the back again. It'll put them in around 14th position. It really depends on the pit stops now as to the finishing order of these guys, but it does look as though they're all going to be outside the points.
Indeed they are, and they're going to struggle because they've got Lebanon, Singapore, South Africa, and then Malaysia now into the top 10 for the first time this afternoon. But it's going to be a struggle for those that chose not to come in at the opportunities that were opened up.
Canada and Czech Republic stayed out for 1 more lap. They're really going to push it right until the 50 lap maximum limit. They're going to go all the way before they make their pit stop, unlike Brazil, who's come in a fraction earlier.
Canada leading the race, but only 9.5 seconds ahead of the Netherlands in 4th. Netherlands still the first of the cars that made the pit stop. So 9.5 seconds in and out. Well, we've seen mid-20-second pit stops. Forget about the time it takes to come in, and there's a long pit road entrance and then get back out, and you're probably talking the best part of total time of 40 seconds.
Okay, so Canada, is he coming in? Is James Hinch? No, he's still not coming in. So this is his very last lap before he has to come in. He'll be coming across the line this time to complete 49 laps, go on to his 50th lap, and then presumably he'll be in at the end of it.
Well, Canada's ready.
Yeah, new tyres, brand new tyres there, completely unscrubbed, and those will be going on the car next time around. He's been quick, he's been in the 58-second bracket consistently and really driving superbly well, but unfortunately it's all going to be for nothing effectively, simply because they didn't get into the pits just before that earlier safety car period today, when the likes of the Netherlands, Germany, Italy and Great Britain did get into the pits just in time.
So the Canadian team waiting in the pit lane as James Hinchcliffe comes up through the chicane. I mean, he's driven a superb stint. Oh, and again, the back end of the car. Well, you can see how hard he's pushing, because he knows every vital tenth of a second could give him position, but unfortunately the safety car, and he's not. Yes, he is.
I wondered too.
I thought for a second he was going to go out and continue and then have himself then disqualified, but he's into the pits on lap 50. We ride with him down the pit lane. It takes forever. The white line, where you have to be down to 60 kilometers per hour, is just before you turn right, and it's a long way down. Here is the team waiting for him. It comes in, gets to a stop. Let's see what the team can do.
Czech Republic carried on going round there, which I find slightly bizarre, but we'll have to see what happens. Let's see how the pit stop goes for Team Canada here. Rear tyres on, front wheels are on, and it's looking good so far. Yeah, not a bad one.
Yes, it's similar to what we saw earlier in the race from the Netherlands, but not as good as France. But he gets back out, he gets out ahead of
Singapore, I think that was.
Yeah, well, that would put him in 11th place.
11th place. I think it's got him out well ahead of Brazil, much further ahead of Brazil than he was before those pit stops were made. So Canada were able to gain time there, and he's come out ahead of Singapore, behind South Africa.
Czech Republic now is going to come into the pits, but that was on lap. Well, it will be lap 51 when he crosses the line, but whether they count 51 depends where their pits are. They may be able to stop before the finish line, so technically they could actually be still on the 50th lap when they make the pit stop.
Yeah,
it'll only be when they go across the start-finish line, and their pit stop, their pitch may actually be before the start-finish line.
Yeah, he hasn't done 51 laps yet, he's done 50 laps, so yeah, he may be okay with coming in this late. They've certainly left it to the last moment. Now, where will he come out in comparison to Canada? There is our new race leader. It is the Netherlands, as expected, still under pressure from Team Germany, and then right behind them Italy and Great Britain. And Great Britain still hoping for an opportunity to get on the podium. But where will the Czech Republic come out with respect to those other guys he was competing against? We'll have to have a look at that in just a moment and see whether he's been able to come out ahead of Brazil in particular, who he was racing with. But this is the race for the lead now, and with some 12 and a half minutes of the race to go, it's going to go to the time rather than to the lap distance. Jeroen Bleekemolen's got to do what he did earlier, and that's withstand the pressure from those behind.
Well, on lap 52, we're going to have a potential 68. That's not going to happen. It's going to be 70 minutes. So Nico Hülkenberg, will he take the punt and try and go for the lead, or will he do maybe the more intelligent thing and go for second place but regain the lead in the Nations Championship, the Nations Cup?
That's right, yes. Move back ahead of Mexico again. Ooh, Lebanon.
And that's Lebanon clipped that right front wheel, and that's we saw Basil Shaban come into the pits, and that's the reason why. The tyre's still reasonably inflated, but it's not going to be so for very long.
Canada are in the points as a result of that, and in fact Canada's got past South Africa on that last lap, so I don't know how he managed that. Still problems trying to get this wheel off, but Lebanon in trouble has allowed Canada to get in the points.
And Team Australia currently under investigation.
Yeah, we don't know what that was for. That was something that obviously happened a little earlier in the race. Netherlands still under attack here from Team Germany, Italy in third, Great Britain in fourth, but Canada somehow squeezed away past South Africa on that last lap. I wonder how they managed to do that, I don't know, but James Hinchcliffe certainly determined to still get some points out of today and make up for the disappointment of not getting into the pits earlier on.
So a battle for the lead, really. It's more a matter of shadowing than battling. As Nico Hülkenberg, he just wants to keep that contact. He's not actually applying any pressure to the Netherlands with Jeroen Bleekemolen. As we see, there's the lead car The Dutch car coming out, then followed by the German, followed by the Italian, followed by the British. These 4 cars now separated approximately by the same amount of time. Oh, and a low! They can break up on his lost in turn 4 and has slid off and crashed. He has touched the barrier. He might be able. Jan Lammers and the Dutch team are absolutely, speechless. Turned in, nothing appeared to be wrong, except the car appeared absolutely sideways and slid into the barrier on the middle and exit of turn 4.
The Netherlands out of the feature race here in Beijing, having won the sprint race. They led the majority of the feature, and he's out. Jeroen Bleekemolen has made a mistake, and Team Germany is now the race leader, surely. Waiting to see. No, Italy leads. Where's Germany? Italy leads. Great Britain is in second place. And where is
safety car has been deployed? We don't know. We saw what happened to Germany. There's Germany, and now we saw what happened to the Netherlands. That we didn't appear to see any contact, but suddenly you saw that maybe it was the German car hit the back of the Netherlands. We just saw that car coming sliding sideways, but there's no indication anywhere in the front of the car there was contact. But certainly Germany not looking. Is that all over? What are the signs? I don't know what Nico Hülkenberg's indicating.
Well, he's very animated, but the message and the engine's off. Oh, can you believe it? And suddenly Mexico will still presumably be leading the series, because Germany is not going to finish this race. Real drama in the closing 10 minutes of the feature race here in Beijing. The Netherlands and Germany first and second in the race, both are out of it. Italy now leads, Great Britain in second, and Australia third, with France up to 4th.
Let's look again now. Here we're coming down to the turn 4. What happened? What caused the Netherlands car to get out of control? Well, that didn't do it. There's no contact from what we could see.
Very difficult to see whether there was any contact. Dave Stubbs there couldn't believe to see the Netherlands car off. But what happened to Germany? Was there contact between them or not? Very difficult to see, but I can't see. There's a bit of a rub on the German tyre this side.
Yes, but that's just been a gentle rub against the wall. There doesn't appear, from what we got of the view of the front of the car, that there might have been any point with which there was contact. And in fact, as they went into turn 4, we see the face of Jeroen Bleekemolen. Now he is, whether he's angry, whether it's just sheer disbelief, whether he feels that was down to him, or whether he feels there was contact. We certainly couldn't determine if there was or not any contact between the German car and the Netherlands car. But what we did see was this car out of control, sliding through turn 4. Now there has been contact. Certainly the nose of Italy has been up against the back, probably the tyre of the car. Could have been Germany. I don't know whether that was the cause of the German retirement.
No, but apparently they're looking around the engine on the German car rather than around the chassis. It would appear to be maybe just some sort of mechanical problem at the same time has happened to Team Germany, and we'll try and find out more. But it means that Italy leads, and they're on for the 10 points. They're also on for $300,000. Remember, the money only pays out in the feature race, and Jeroen Bleekemolen's bonus has just gone right. Team GBR running second, John, and for rookie driver Ollie Jarvis, this is a bit of a gift. And Australia as well, up to third place for Karl Reindler.
More impressively, for fourth place is France. Remember, France started all the way out this race in 17th place, in fourth place. A lot of points for France. They'll be happy with this.
Well, France have been totally out of luck in the early second season of A1. They dominated, of course, in season 1, so they're due a bit of luck.
And another beneficiary from this loss of Netherlands, Canada, didn't come in at the first, didn't come in the second deployed, but they have benefited, and they're now up to the 6th place.
Who is going to benefit? Singapore's the point. For some points, it's Chris Murchison there coming behind him a remainder of this race, and New Zealand as well, so he won't have it easy. Let's go down to the pit lane for news on Australia from Lee McKenzie. Lee.
Thanks very much, Ben. Well, I did wonder myself if Australia had come into the pits after the car had been deployed. In fact, several other team members came and asked me if I knew any information, so I think a few people have their suspicions. I've been down to the team and asked them. They say that they do not know why they're under caution.
OK, thank you, Lee. That was a response to the fact that we saw that Team Australia is under investigation. Now we know why they're under investigation. There's Alan Jones, the boss for Team Australia. The question is, were they in the pit lane when the safety car was deployed? 5.5 minutes to go in this race. I think it will be green again before we see the checkered flag. But let's go back down to the pit lane. Rejoin Lee McKenzie. Lee.
Nick, we couldn't see what the problem was. Just talk through what happened.
I came up down 4 in 5th gear, and then I wanted to downshift, but I think the gearbox is broken and I cannot shift anymore.
And at the same time, Bleekemolen had obviously lost his to spinning in that turn.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with him, but my car was very good. I was very quick, and I could have won this race. So it's a pity. It's really shit.
Bad luck, Nico.
Thank you.
I mean, we understand what he feels, and again, part of the motoring passes this. It's underway.
We're restarting again here in Beijing. Italy leads now and in sight virtually just 4.5 minutes of the flag. Great Britain in second place. Third place with a car between Great Britain and themselves is Australia. So Australia's got a bit of work, but France could be the one to watch here. Nicolas Lapierre, fourth position, tucked up behind the Australian car. And Lapierre can set there's a chance to score some points, some serious points, which France have been struggling to do so far this season.
Well, Enrico Tocacello is very much in control. I think Ollie Jarvis. And we're waiting for Australia to come through just after the Lebanon car in the middle of that bunch.
Canada, as I said, going well still, sixth place and putting the pressure on Malaysia, so that could be another little one to watch. Green flags down at the hairpin as Italy leads.
Well, Malaysia and Canada, they've been there, done that. This time it's the other way around. The pressure from Canada on Malaysia, rather than as we saw the Czech
Republic almost getting onside South Africa there, coming into the hairpin, and then to bail out of the whole idea and just about managed to get back on it. And Tocacello for Team Italy is running away, and Italy has never won an event in A1GP. They put Tocacello back in the car this weekend, and it could be the star move of the weekend, if you like, to put in such advantage where others have fell by the wayside.
Well, you talk about speed. Well, we've got speed plus maturity. I pointed that out at the top of the show. That's what Tocacello brings to this particular racetrack. American Sport, who are running Team Italy's entry, might think about putting him in more often.
Australia looking at well, and Briscoe driving for them at the start in Zandvoort, and that feature race, that wet dry race was dramatic, and they're on for another one here. Tocacello really chipped it in, doesn't he, down at the hairpin. It's a smoother approach. There's Australia running in third. This is Canada, then South Africa and the Czech Republic. All these guys fighting for position. New Zealand there had a chance. That was on a lapped car, I think, that they were going to gain a place on.
Well, there's a little battle here taking place right now between France and Canada for fifth. We're going to see Canada being bold enough to take a launch down the inside to try and repay the dues that were. Oh, and again watching the back of this car. Was that just coming out of turn one? But Canada, James Hinchcliffe, who still holds the fastest lap of this race at a 58.107. Currently lapping in the middle 158s for Italy. Everybody else running in the 59s, or in the case of Australia, in 1 minute.
Yes, that's right. France could still be the one to watch here, but they're running out of time. Only 2 minutes remain. How much of a gamble do you take to get past on what has proven to be an unforgiving circuit? Canada perhaps the closest to getting past anybody, and bouncing over the curves there. You saw Singapore, who are on for their first ever points. Here comes Canada with a little look down the inside. No, not against it. Enger down the inside of South Africa. Now can he get round the corner and stay ahead or not? Almost in the pit lane.
Side by side as they go, but Enger's got the advantage going into turn 9. But just sweeps right the front, and again side by side coming into the stadium, and Enger had to concede the back end snaps on, and now
great stuff.
Adrian Zaug, again the victim of his own errors in the sprint race. He currently is in 7th place. He'll get points for that.
Yeah, and only just holding on to it. Enger, great ascent there, but then he was on the dirty side for turns number 9 and 10, and he couldn't quite hold on to it, so he's back in the queue. Singapore, Brazil and New Zealand all a part of that.
And we've got Lebanon as well. Is this going to be a race that finishes a safety car? Basil Shaban, we've seen him have contact with the wall. He's got the engine running, but Basil, you've got to get the gears that drive you forward.
Let's hope he can get that car re-going again. Only a minute to go. They won't get checkered this time, but it will be next time around. France on the bumps there, still hidden behind Australia. Canada is next up. Where is yeah, that's right, Malaysia still just up there. France.
Oh, and look how close this is. Canada. Was that
Malaysia's got past France, I think. Where is Malaysia?
France has got ahead.
Malaysia's disappeared, John. France
has got ahead of Canada.
So France gaining that position, getting past Canada, and Malaysia's vanished as well as we go on to the final lap.
So we don't know what happened to Malaysia, but look, Hinchcliffe, and there it is, right rear. So was that a payback for France and Canada collide? Canada's in the wall. James Hinchcliffe's race is all over. Contact in turn 2 between France and Canada, and maybe that's the consequence of the contact I suspect took place between Canada and Malaysia.
Well, it's all gone loose in the end, hasn't it? Italy, though, is going to win this race. Look at the advantage they have coming down towards the hairpin for the final time. It's Enrico Tocacello. He's just got a couple of calls. That's where the Malaysian car is stranded on the pit lane entrance.
And that's where the contact, I suspect, with Canada. We have to wait to have that confirmed, but I suspect that's where that contact occurred.
Here comes Italy then. Italy is going to win in Beijing. They've survived where so many others haven't. Enrico Tocacello takes the Italians' first win in the series, and that's a tremendous achievement. And Great Britain finishes in second. Ollie Jarvis, the rookie driver, brings it home in second. Third for Australia, fourth for France, 5th for South Africa, 6th for the Czech Republic, then Brazil, Singapore take their first points in 8th place, New Zealand in 9th, and we don't know who's going to finish 10th yet. It might even be Canada.
It could well be Canada.
Yeah, Canada might still end up with 10th despite having smacked the wall there after contact with France. But for Giancarlo Ghinzani and the whole Italian team, a great race from them. They stayed out of trouble, and they now become the 11th nation to have won an A1GP race. And there was a big smile in the British team there from James Robinson, having brought their car home in 2nd.
Well, I mean, we know that. Well, there we look at the Canada car, and that's a big shot. And I just hope that James Hinchcliffe, he's getting out of the car. He's just wisely sat in the car for the final lap. But nevertheless, a driver, when you slap a wall like that, your body, but particularly your legs, which may not be particularly well supported in the car, get a rattling around, and you get a heavy bruising on the side of the knee and then the lower leg. But well, you can see the right side of that car is pretty well scrunched up, and that was a fairly big hit. We think there was contact. If we can look back there,
that was the incident that actually
so
finally
then
took
the
it
rear
out.
suspension actually had broken, and then again the car turned. So I don't think there was contact. I think Nicolas Lapierre didn't have contact from that view anyway. Let's have a look at it again as they come down side by side into turn 2. France on the inside, they've got track position. Well, James tried to go the long way round. He was too ambitious, and there was the contact, and the second slap into the wall was the heavier of the two.
Now let's see what happened to Malaysia, if we can find out what happened to Malaysia. Was it a racing incident? He already had a problem. He'd already hit the wall.
He hit the wall himself. He may have hit the wall coming out of turn 7.
So, a race of real drama here around the streets of Beijing. A race that has been taken by Italy. And there is Enrico Toccacello, congratulated by team principal Giancarlo Ghinzani. And it's the 10 points and the $300,000 to the Italians. 2nd place goes to Ollie Jarvis for Great Britain. And the youngster, the 22-year-old from Cambridgeshire, has performed on his debut. He's taken 9 points, the best result for Team GBR so far this year. And Carl Reindler, who's been racing with Ollie Jarvis in the British F3 Series this year, so these guys know each other, he has brought the Australian car home 3rd, and that's a major international race achievement for him. But the Italians, well, they're all buzzing, they're all bubbling, they're happy, they've taken victory, they've won here in Beijing, and they, as I said before, have survived where so many others failed. You have to feel, though, for Team Netherlands and for Team Germany in particular. The Netherlands, well, it looked like it was a mistake for Jeroen Bleekemolen that took him out. But for Team Germany, they had the race in the bag. Nico Hulkenberg looked all set to reclaim the top spot for Team Germany in the point standings, but a mechanical failure in the gearbox put them out. But that was what today was about. It was getting through to the checkered flag.
Well, that's just simply a lot of maturity, a lot of experience on the part of Toccacello to enable him to bring that Team Italy car home. And for Oliver Jarvis, I mean, jumping into the car, having relatively little time compared to those around him, to end up on the podium in 2nd place, well, I think that's a result that he will cherish. And I wonder, will that also have any bearing on the future choices of drivers that Team GBR will want to put into upcoming races? Clearly going to Malaysia, Robbie Kerr has raced there last year, and that would be, I'm sure, their prime choice. But the performance of Oliver Jarvis, that's going to be a lift in confidence for the young man.
So, well done to Carl Reindler. Ian Dyke here as well, the rookie driver for the Australians. He went out on the Friday, but like most other rookies, didn't really get to have a run. And congratulating him on his performance again. He stayed out of trouble, and they called their pit stop cleverly. Remember, all these guys who ended up near the top were pretty clever on calling their pit stop at exactly the right time early in the race, and those who didn't paid the penalty, ended up further down the order, and in some cases then getting into trouble in the midfield pack. But it's Italy that's taken the victory by some 4.5 seconds over Great Britain. Australia finish in 3rd, France in 4th, South Africa reclaiming something after a disaster sprint race to finish 5th, the Czech Republic in 6th, Brazil in 7th, Singapore in 8th place, their first ever points, 9th place for New Zealand, and 10th place for a car that was smacked against the wall in the end for Team Canada. 11th for India, just out of the points again, they're so close. Then 12th for Malaysia, and they were unfortunate. 11th and 13th, Netherlands, unfortunately, the race leader for so long, 14th, Germany 15th, and the other non-finishers, Indonesia, China, the United States, Switzerland, lots of them, Mexico, Ireland, and Pakistan. The fastest lap went the way of Canada, but the race victory went to Italy.